Hello everyone, it's Farket here, and in this video I'm going to give you 50 tips and tricks on building in the forest. I'm going to try and keep it under 17 minutes, so let's go. You can place multiple blueprints by holding down Control while placing them. It works for most structures, not so much for custom structures. The next one is stick holders, log holders and rock holders all have a different variation. You can upgrade their size by pressing R. Keep in mind if you place over the original amount, the small amount, so this one was 6, if I switch it back, it completes it. All the sticks will be wasted, whatever I placed in it. When building with custom walls and rock walls, they snap at 90 and 45 degree angles. So the rock wall here, snap at 90, and then we'll snap it at 45. And then we can join it back up. When building on a relatively flat surface like this, you actually don't have to complete the entire rock wall. Just build one section, get the custom floor out, and it'll automatically place. You don't even really need this, though it will look a bit silly without it. If you have two walls that you built separately, not together, what you can do is use custom mode. So you place it over and look for the C button. It might not pop up, it can be a bit buggy, as you can see here. So just hover over it, press C, and this should come up. Then you can place it manually. This also snaps into place as well. Sometimes it can be a bit tricky to place. When using angle placement, the custom floor, rock wall, and custom foundation all do it. And sometimes a custom roof, though that's more tricky. Though that's a realistic looking floor, isn't it? The weapon display will be a ground weapon holder or a wall weapon holder, depending on where you place it. The wall weapon uses 2 sticks, the ground uses 1 log. They both hold 1 weapon each. Wall planters can only grow aloe and coneflower. They cannot grow blueberries, and they're also rather expensive. Consider using a garden, they can grow all 3. When placing a custom platform, if you place it against a cliff or another large static object in the game, it will turn into a cliff platform instead. It can be a cheaper option. The hole cutter is actually the way to remove structures when you don't need them. You can also hit them, though the hole cutter can be much quicker. If you want, you can hold down Control and it makes it much quicker. And you can even trim off decorations that you don't want there. Where you attach the custom floor or any structure is the thing that's holding it up. So in that case, if I destroy that section of the wall, it'll fall. But I finished on this one for the last placement. That's the one that's going to hold it up. I'll do a video on this in a little bit more depth. I've covered it before, but it needs rework. The tree platform, alpine tree house, and the tree house all come with a rope, but you can remove it by pressing R. You want to do this if you want to place a tree bridge to it instead. The simple stairs, basic wall, platform, and many other structures have anchor points to them. The simple stairs has 2, basic wall has 2, custom platform has 4, tree platform has 4, alpine tree house is 1, tree house is 1, the gazebo has 2 I believe, the cliff platform has 3, and the log cabin has 2. Now what anchor points mean is that you can attach a climbing rope or a tree bridge to it. So I can attach a climbing rope there, and a tree bridge here. It must join up with another structure for it to work. So the treehouse, I can join it to the simple stairs. So I don't have to use a climbing rope, like that. And a basic wall to the alpine treehouse. And a climbing rope to the tree platform, just using one of the sides. You still got the other 4 you can use. And I'll attach it to the platform here. Same with the gazebo. And you can all link these up to create a massive base, sky base. Once you've placed a custom foundation, if you get a custom wall out, it will automatically place. To change it, you just press R. So you got window, door with a lock on the outside, door with a lock on the inside. Keep in mind that enemies can see through windows. So sometimes they're a bit of a negative than anything. If you got the door lock on the outside, they can't get in anyway. So don't worry about that. Now, once you've built a house, you'll have to use stairs most likely to get inside. Consider using the simple stairs first. See if that will match up. Simple stairs are much cheaper and much cleaner looking. Like in this case, I can. They're only 5 logs. Though if it's a little too short, a little too high, like in this case here, it's too high, it's going to block the door. You can use custom stairs. What you do is just start from either top here or down here and just work your way up. Try and aim for the middle of the door. That's 7 logs. I should have aimed a bit higher. Make sure you get it right. I'd consider saving before doing custom stairs. They're a little bit buggy, they've changed a bit since the full release. So like that. There we go, that's better. You get in and out much quicker. When placing custom roofs, they'll go in the same direction as the floor. In this case, it would be much cheaper. So that's 22 logs. Now if I do a custom placement, going the other way, that's 32 logs, and it will have the same effect. So make sure you check both ways. Though you might go for a certain look, keep it in mind. Houseboats are the only boats in the game that can be docked, or moored. If you go up to the side of it, you should see an icon, and it will hold it in place. You can't move the boat until it's unmoored. You might have to rotate the boat a few times to get an angle that will work. When placing a defensive wall, you cannot place a gate if the angle it's on is elevated. See here, on a hill, it won't let me place a gate. Now that I'm on flatter land, I can. And it'll place a single gate. Though if you want to place double gate, press R and then one over, it turns into a double gate. I recommend double gates if you're trying to fit a log sled through it. Single gates can be a bit tricky. You can place defensive wall spikes on the wall section, but not the gate section. This increases the health of the wall by 40%. It doesn't injure or stop the cannibals from jumping over it, I believe, though it's very rare that they can. These are quite expensive, though they can be worth it. If you place a rabbit trap, well, it's supposed to be called an animal trap, over water, it turns into a fish trap, though I believe fish have to be there to catch them. And fish traps use 2 ropes, so it's quite expensive. All the shelters, the temporary shelter, hunting shelter, log cabin, treehouse, alpine treehouse, and bed, all have an icon on it that you can change its color. If you change it to grey, it turns off that icon so you won't see it, though you'll see other ones. It can be good for hiding shelters when you're done with them and you don't want to see them on your overlay, or yard, whatever you call it. Now zip lines only go one way, and if you're unsure which way that's going to be, before you complete it, you can use a custom foundation to line up with the rope and go over to the other side. So this side is a lot higher. So this is the side that I'll be able to go from here to that way. I can't go the other way. If you want to place it for testing, just click, move to the side, and then you'll see the line down there. So you can use that as a reference. Zip lines can also be used to transport logs if you are unsure. Simple stairs are actually stackable, but it's really weird how they work, and it is very, very difficult to align them. This is a very big save and exit job, though they can be good because they are very flat, so it can give you a better look if that's what you're after, though more expensive and more tedious. Small tables and tables can both have bone baskets and arrow baskets built on top of them. Doesn't appear the small table's working at the moment, but the table's working nonetheless. If your aiming is good, you can shoot arrows and other ranged weapons through fences, though it's very difficult to do. The stick fence, bone fence, and rock fence, or rock wall, all have different strengths. The stick fence is the weakest, bone fence is next, and rock fence is the strongest. It's probably even stronger than a defensive wall, but a defensive wall reinforcement will probably make it stronger. Whilst cannibals can attack defensive walls, they can't destroy them. The damage is just far too low. If a tree falls on your structures, it can destroy them. If it's custom, it will just break parts of it, though set structures like these, they cleared them. A way around this is to turn off building destruction mode. In the options, if you go to gameplay, you can turn off building destruction mode. It's here. If you turn it off, enemies and trees falling on your structures won't destroy them. Also, you can't damage them, and explosives can't hurt them. You can still use a hole cutter to clear things though. If you go to options and go to gameplay, you can change the color of your ghosts, as in your blueprint color. And you can also change the opacity of it too. I use blue, I find it easiest to see. There's blue, purple, green, and white. Use the color that suits you best. Also play around with the opacity. Don't build your custom foundations and floors over where stick trees are. They regrow every time you save and exit. And whilst you can clear them, if you're playing with multiplayer and you want to show friends, if you clear them, they'll see different stick trees, so your base will look a bit messy. If you've got grass sticking through your floors, you can remove it by placing rock paths, but the rocks might stick through, so you just can't really win with this. What you can try and do is use a cut grass removal console command. I don't know how effective it is because it might not work after you save and exit. Keep in mind when building on water, if you're playing on flat ocean quality and you're usually playing on high quality, or you're playing multiplayer who might have high quality on flat, it looks fine. If we switch it to high, water comes through the floorboards. This doesn't do anything, doesn't damage anything, but if you're going for a certain look or you want to show off your base, just keep this in mind. It might be an unpleasant thing you might not want to have. Just keep it a bit higher, or do it with high ocean quality mode on. Now this is a mechanic I'm hesitant to mention because I don't know enough about it, but in the game there is a mechanic for thermal heating, which means that if you place a fire in a house that's sealed off, it can warm the entire house, just one fire. I don't know if you have to join everything at once at the same time for it to work, but if you do that, it does work. This requires a lot of testing whether you can just use custom rather than automatic, though it is a cool feature. So you can be warm in your house no matter where you are, generally. I think it might need a little bit more explaining by the developers, but they only released one patch note that mentioned it, and that's all we know. I'll put the patch note up on the video so you can have a read of it. Every fire in the game that you build, the cannibals and mutants will go and check it out at least once. So if you're hidden away and they find you, it's because you've built a fire. I don't know whether it's lit or not will make a difference, but if you're going to build a fire, just know they're going to show up eventually. They'll only check it out once. If you're not there, they might check it out and take off. I don't know enough about the mechanic to go into more detail about that. With standing fires, you can use your bow to light the tip if it's a fire arrow. It can be a good medieval siege mechanic if you're looking to fight off the bad guys. You can't set yourself on fire with these ones. The ones in caves, I think you can still. You can place catapults on cranes to make the game look a bit more like a realistic medieval scenario. But make sure you place them in the right spot, otherwise they'll hit the roof. A way around it is to build it like this, with a big open area. And just come up to about there, just above, and then you can use it. I don't believe it increases the range of the catapult, but it's a cool look nonetheless. Drying racks are one of the most targeted structures by cannibals. They'll steal the meat off them, attack them, they'll do anything to get rid of them. Consider hiding them in a good spot, up on a ledge where they can't get them, or build defensive walls around them. If that doesn't work, you could always build leaf traps underneath them, and if you're getting attacked and they usually go for them, set them on fire with a fire arrow or a molotov. And trust me, cannibals don't have any self-preservation, they'll run into it. It doesn't last very long, so keep that in mind. If you build them close enough together, if you set one on fire, it'll set the rest on fire. Molotovs are probably the best way to do it. Stick markers are excellent if you are struggling to navigate this game. They're very cheap to build, and you should be placing heaps of them, because it's so easy to get lost in this game. If you set it to the grey flag colour, it disappears. They can be destroyed, but cannibals and mutants don't go after them at all. It's only if they're in their way when they're attacking. Water collectors, animal traps, and targets are all immune to enemies. Use this to your advantage. Water collectors completely block cannibals and mutants out. Animal traps are very fiddly, they can work as a wall. And targets can be jumped by cannibals, but they can't be jumped by mutants. So you could block out mutants completely just using targets if you wanted to. Though make sure you face them the other way around. The rear end facing them, otherwise it works like a ramp. When placing Timmy's pictures on the wall, try and keep your mouse still and try and just use your keys instead, because you want to put a frame around it, and trying to get it inside the frame is impossible. Instead, place the picture and then build the frame. You see, even I can't even get it straight. Make sure you save before you do it. The frame doesn't really do anything, it's just purely for decoration. I personally don't recommend building tree houses, alpine tree houses, or tree platforms. The reason being is on day 7 and after, there's a mutant that can spawn called the Armsy, and he can take down trees with a single swipe, and that includes your tree structures. They'll be destroyed instantly if he hits the tree. There is no way to protect it. Even with building destruction mode off, that doesn't stop him from knocking down trees, though it is up to the individual what they do. If you want to build in caves, it's fairly easy, though boring. You just carry the logs straight in. When you get to the other side, you've got them. You can't do that with the drop down entrances though, the ones you climb down. You just drop the logs if you try to go down it. Keep in mind though, if you're going to build a log sled in caves, they can't be moved, so you're going to have to use something else. If you build a garden inside a cave, you can grow mushrooms. If you plant one, eventually it will spread into 2, 3, 4, and so on. If you leave it long enough, it'll cover the whole garden. You don't have to place rabbit cages on grass. The rabbits don't need it to survive. You can place them wherever you like. And remember, 2 or more in the cage, and they have a 10% chance of breeding when you sleep. Temporary shelters can be used to save your game as many times as you like, though as soon as you sleep in them, they explode. Use a hunting shelter instead, it's the next cheapest option, if you want to get around this. If you build a rock wall and move slightly to the side, you can place a single pillar. And this is good if you want to go for a pillar system. I use this all the time when I'm building. Just press C if you don't want to go to the automatic mode. And the same can be done for wood walls. It's much harder to get accuracy on it. And the other issue with it, automatic placement on top. It does this stupid thing where it costs 5 logs. If you've got a lot of patience, and I mean a lot, you can try and get it on top, like that. You spend a long enough time, you'll be able to get it right in the middle, though it would take you a very long time. If you want trees to grow back, you can access it via options, gameplay, and regrowing trees. Switch that on. What that means is every time you sleep, 10% of the trees in the world will grow back, providing that the stump is still there. If you don't want them to grow back, remove the stump. Also, if you do play with it on, don't build over a tree stump. It might regrow back through your house. There are cannibal effigies in the game already. If you build over the top of them and destroy them, every time you save and exit, they'll respawn. So it might mess up the look of your base. When placing custom roofs on top of walls, you can have a surprisingly big gap between the wall heights. As you can see here, I've got walls at different heights using rock walls and wood walls, and they all still manage to connect. It might look unrealistic and there's not much of a solution to it. It's very difficult to get around this one. Though, who cares? The chair, bench, couch, and bone chair all provide the same benefit. The bench is much cheaper than all of them. Stick to the bench if you're just using it for practical uses of restoring your energy and your sanity. Though if you're decorating your house, build whatever you want. Make it look pretty. And the last one is custom effigies, which are offered to you after you get your sanity below 90%. These can be surprisingly cool. You can build all sorts of things on them. You can attach bones, skulls, arms, legs, torsos, heads, and sticks. If you're very clever, you could use these to make custom furniture. Though you'll have to have a lot of patience and be very clever. Anyway, that's the 50 tips. I do have more tips, but I'm going to save them for another video. I would have kept the video shorter, but I talk too damn slow. Though if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.